Welcome back to the world according to Briggs. Today we're talking about Idaho, land of potatoes, mountains, and more affordable living than your overpriced shoebox apartment in Los Angeles. While Boise gets all the attention these days and the price hikes, the real story is happening in the towns you might never have heard of, but you probably should. Some of them I'm sure some of you have heard of, but there's still some gems out there. In this video, we're heading into the forgotten corners of the gem state to find some of the cheapest towns to live in Idaho. These are places where your rent won't require a GoFundMe account, people still smile at the grocery store, and traffic jams consist of a tractor and maybe a confused moose. Whether you're looking to retire, escape the big city, or just want to live somewhere that won't eat your savings alive, stick around. Because today we're counting down the top 10 cheapest towns to live in Idaho. Okay, they're not the cheapest, but they're pretty low. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Preston, Idaho. Welcome to Preston, aka the hometown of Napoleon Dynamite. Yes, really, this small southeast Idaho town became low-key famous for its tater tots, a bad dance, and a time machine that shocks you in the crotch. But beyond the cult movie status, it actually is a pretty livable place. Historically, this is farming. Preston has a steady economy and a community that still feels like it belongs sometime in the 1950s, in a good way. Rent here is modest, home prices hover well below the state average, and the locals still wave at you from across the street instead of ignoring you like you owe them money. It's peaceful, scenic, and just enough quirk to keep things interesting. The city of Preston, Idaho just celebrated its 125th anniversary in 2025 with a summer-long initiative with celebrated events, and on Friday, July 25th, it kind of coincided with Preston's Rotary Pioneer Day Fireworks Festival. So that's kind of cool, little small town fireworks and celebrate the town and pioneers and all that good stuff. In case you don't know, pioneer is a big word in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, I think all cities up here have a Pioneer Square. Reno has one too, but I know Seattle has one, Portland has one. Everyone's got a Pioneer Square. I guess we're pioneers. The cost of living here is actually 5.2% lower than the national average, and the average home value is $430,000, which is about $10,000 cheaper than the national average right now. Number 9, Weiser, Idaho. And it sits right near the Oregon border and has long been known for its fiddling festival because, yes, this town takes violins very seriously. And you know it's very seriously when they call it a fiddle. Historically, a railroad and agricultural hub, now a peaceful little place where homes still go for under $300,000 that will, need some help. I mean, the average is a little bit higher, but you can get a house here for under $300,000. Do some work to it. This type of place where you're more likely to see a tractor on the road than an Amazon van. There's a tight-knit community feeling with a cost of living far below the national average. It's a solid pick for retirees and remote workers who like a slower pace and don't mind the occasional country twang. It's also just down the road from a place called Rebecca. I always hate it when they give a location a person's first name. Imagine having to drive past Rebecca twice a day going to and from work, and each time you just... Rebecca. Like that, you're just totally aggro by the time you get to work, and by the time you get home, you're just the tense neck, really bad divorce. Horrible. Anyway, not in Rebecca, but actually the town of Weiser, the cost of living here is 7.7% lower than the national average, which is not bad. And the average home value here is $350,000, which I poked around Zillow, and there are a lot of homes there, well, some, for about $270,000, $280,000. They're going to need some work, but you could do it. You're a pioneer. Get on out there. Don't bring Rebecca with you. Number 8, Mountain Home, Idaho. Don't let the name fool you. Mountain Home isn't actually in the mountains, but it's home to a massive Air Force base, and that keeps the economy humming. The town has military grit, but it also has a strong sense of community, decent schools, and an affordable housing market that hasn't gone haywire yet. It's a great spot for folks who want to access Boise without paying Boise rent prices and home prices. Plus, it has a cool little downtown. They're kind of stuck in the 1990s. It's like a time capsule thing. but again, in a good way. The old days sometimes were better. And I think if you're stuck in the 90s and not the 1970s, you're doing good. There's a community pool that just opened back up, being closed for 5 years. They decided that a 60-year-old pool was old enough and they needed a new one. Here's the thing. They greenlit this pool in 2016. 4 years later, they broke ground on it in 2020 for the new one. 5 years later, it was opened back up. Who was building this pool? Was it like one dude with a little hand shovel? I worked in the pool industry for years. My brother still builds pools in Southern California. It should have been done in 3 to 4 months max. Now, take weather into consideration, accounts and permits. Maybe those were delayed. It's a year, maybe 14 months. But to take 5 years to actually break ground and build it, there's something weird going on there. I don't know if the city ran out of money. I don't know. I looked up some different things, and no, they just were perfectly fine with dragging this thing out for, 5 years. Meanwhile, the kids are all standing where the old pool used to be, totally parched, depressed, staring at an empty hole. One guy named Mac down there with a little hand shovel. Anytime, kids! Mac dies, his kids have to take over for him. Anyway, the cost of living in Mountain Home is 8.2% lower than the national average, which is solid. And their average home value here, $359,000. Now, some of you, if you're in Mississippi or Alabama, are going, that's not cheap, Briggs. What the hell are you talking about? Well, keep in mind, not everyone lives in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Some people are coming from places like in Texas, where $359,000 sounds about right, or coming from California, where that sounds like a bargain. Or they're even come from Oregon going, that's a little bit cheaper than we got here. Maybe I'll go take a look. So the national average kind of tells us what most people should be able to afford, okay? So when I say it's cheap, I'm going, it's below the national average. Some people freak out. No, wait, that's totally too expensive. Don't work at Taco Bell, okay? Get a better job, something like that, and you'll see that $359,000, where it does suck that you got to pay almost $400,000 for a home. This isn't the 1950s. Homes aren't for $120,000 everywhere in the United States anymore. Number 7, Emmett, Idaho. Emmett's one of those towns that still feels like old school Idaho. It's surrounded by orchards and back roads that are ideal for long drives and questionable podcast listening. The town boomed during the sawmill days, but now it's a mellow bedroom community with great access to Boise without Boise prices. Homes are affordable, crime is low, and life revolves around the county fair, local diners, and getting outdoors. Downtown Emmett's old strip used to be the heart of the town, but these days it's looking a little rough around the edges. A bunch of empty storefronts now line Main Street, making it feel more like a ghost town than a shopping district. Most days, if you take a stroll down Main Street, it's kind of like stepping into a documentary about an old ghost town showing some life again. Now, Emmett's trying to bring itself back, so I think in the future, it's going to get a little more expensive. We're talking 5-10 years down the line. So if you want to retire there, it's still affordable. Houses are climbing pretty quick, but it's still a nice place. Nice, quiet, no crime, fresh air, all that good stuff. They've got a cost of living that's 9.7% lower than the national average. Now, their average home value is right about the national average at $448,000. Not the cheapest, but the cost of living is pretty low. Number 6, Jerome, Idaho. Interesting thing about Jerome, Idaho, I stopped here one time on a road trip, and I was talking to a guy at a gas station mall. Is this Jerome, Idaho here? He's all, no, it's Jerome. I'm all, oh, okay. So I said that to someone else. He's all, Jerome. As I thought back, I remember he was kind of smiling or smirking. The guy set me up to look like an idiot. It's Jerome, not Jerome. When he said that, I was thinking, oh, check out Idaho, trying to French it up a little bit. All right. Anyway, it's located east of Twin Falls. Jerome is what happens when farmland meets affordability. It's got deep agricultural history, and today it's home to dairies, potato processing plants, and families who've been here for generations. Rent and home prices remain reasonable, and despite its working class roots, the town has been slowly upgrading with better schools, more jobs, and even the occasional coffee place that isn't just like a diner that serves black coffee. They actually might mix you a drink. It's no frills Idaho after that, and that's part of its charm. Okay, so this might be a deal breaker for some people because they worry about nuclear power plants. Nuclear power plants are devastating when something goes terribly wrong, but in reality, they're safe for the most part compared to other things. They had a windmill farm they were going to put there, and that kind of fell through. Now they're toying with the idea of adding a nuclear power plant. So it's just a proposal right now. It's going to be in Jerome County. You know, that's something that bothers you. Keep that in mind if you go look at it. But Jerome's a nice place, especially if you want to get away from people and just live in a small town. The cost of living here is 10.2% lower than the national average, and the average home value is $397,000. Now, again, I know some people are going to complain that these prices aren't cheap. It's a desirable place to live. If you want to live someplace with really cheap real estate, nobody else wants to live there. That's how that works. Go to Little Rock, Arkansas, dirt cheap, okay? Go to West Virginia, you get a new house with a free bowl of soup there. So cheap. Number 5, Pocatello, Idaho. Ah, yes, Pocatello, a college town with a blue-collar heart, home to Idaho State University and way cheaper than Boise. This city offers everything from mountain views to surprisingly affordable rent. Pocatello sits on a river and is surrounded by trails, fishing spots, and ski areas. Bonus, the transportation here is over 25% cheaper than the national average, which means you can spend more on fun things like rent or, potatoes. Pocatello is a good-sized city by Idaho standards, but they still have a glimpse of that small town life. You could see it in their news cycle. Once you get past a handful of obituaries, which every small town has, or every medium city, you find that a house burned down, injuring a man. Now, that's not the nice part. Not like any of it's nice for the guy who got burned and had his house set on fire. That's devastating. Even more so when you find out that his guinea pig died in the inferno. In most cities, they might have mentioned the fire. That was it, because they have 12 shootings they got to get to. In Pocatello, the mention of the demise of Mr. Sparkles, the man's guinea pig, was actually in the story. I mean, that's part of the headline. Man burned in house and guinea pig perishes or something like that. I mean, that's horrible, but it's nice that that's like the worst thing going on in the news cycle there. I mean, it's weirdly pleasant. The cost of living in Pocatello is 10.8% lower than the national average. Again, that's incredible for a good size medium city. The average home value here is $339,000. That is not bad. Number 4, Burley, Idaho. Or if you talk to the wrong person, it might be Burley, Idaho. Coming in hot at number 4 is Burley, a town that sounds like it was named after a grizzled cowboy. Set along the Snake River, Burley has some of the cheapest groceries in the state, low housing prices, and enough small-town charm to make your grandmother cry and remember the good old days when her and Mr. Sparkles used to go for walks. You've got Lake Walcott State Park for picnics and paddleboarding, plus major employers like Good Motor and D.L. Evans Bank holding down the economy. And with the cost of living that's extremely low, Burley makes frugal living look downright scenic. Now, this is interesting in their news. For over 20 years, the Magic Valley Folk Festival has been going on in Burley. You can get a front row seat to culture you may never experience in real life. It's kind of interesting. This year, over 125 performers from 5 different countries showed up to share their music, dance, and traditions. So it wasn't just like United States folk music. It was around the world. Slovenia, Brazil, Ireland, Poland, and of course, the good old USA. Burley is not a bad place to live. They're all excited in their news cycle too about the new Mormon temple was built. Okay. The cost of living is 11.4% lower than the national average. And the average home value here, $328,000. Not bad. Number 3, Blackfoot, Idaho. Potatoes everywhere. And that's kind of Blackfoot's whole brand. And they're proud of it. Dubbed the potato capital of the world, this town even has a potato museum. But don't let the starch obsession scare you off. Blackfoot is a genuinely affordable and livable place. Nestled between Pocatello and Idaho Falls, it's got easy access to bigger cities without the noise or prices. If you're into the outdoors, you will love boating at Jensen Grove Park. And with the rent hovering around $1,000, maybe a little bit more, your budget won't be mashed. Just recently, Idaho Fish and Game had to relocate 2 juvenile moose that had decided to wander into town. So that's the kind of news you get there. Not a bad thing to have in the news. The cost of living here is 11.5% lower than the national average, and the average home value about $362,000. Not bad. Number 2, Payette, Idaho. At number 2, we've got Payette, a town that's kind of like Idaho's best kept budget secret, located near the Snake River and close to the Oregon border, which I don't think is much of a good thing these days. Payette is all about small town living with a splash of river fun. Fishing, kayaking, hiking, check. Affordable homes, also check. The local school district isn't bad, and groceries here are nearly 10% cheaper than the national average. And it even has a few major employers like Valley Family Healthcare. In short, it's a great place to stretch your paycheck without sacrificing your peace and quiet. Now, there is a Lake Payette, but it's about 2 hours to the north by McCall. Payette Lake also just produced a new state record for lake trout, 42 inches. It's like this huge. It's like massive. I don't have a measuring tape, but that feels like 42 to me. I don't know. It's a trout. If it's over 20 inches, I'm in shock. Yeah, maybe that's kind of small. If it's over 30 inches, I'm in shock. But yeah, a lot of people seem to think that the lake is next to the city. No, it is not. Just so you know. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to any of these towns or any place in the country, there's a link for a website called Home and Money. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. Just go to their website. There's a link below. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Rupert, Idaho. Rupert, the little town that could. Rupert is tiny, historic, and shockingly affordable. It has one of the most charming town squares in Idaho, complete with vintage buildings and holiday festivals that look like they're in a movie where your wife cried. The cost of living here is super low, and rent stays below $1,000 in many cases. There are some places that are way more expensive, but you can get a place around $1,000. Even the real estate market hasn't gone bananas here. Agriculture drives the economy here, but there's also local shops, bakeries, and parks that keep daily life simple and sweet. The cost of living here is 12.2% lower than the national average, and the average home value, about $320,000. That is not bad. Good going, Rupert. You're number 1. So there you have it, 10 of the cheapest towns to live in Idaho, where the views are wide, the people are friendly, and the cost of living won't eat you alive. Whether you're looking to escape the big city chaos, retire on a budget, or just stretch your dollar a little bit further, Idaho's got you covered. Just don't all move there at once. I mean, they're kind of sick of that, but I'm sure if we go in there stealthily, 2 or 3 per town every couple months, they'll never notice. Change your license plate before you get there. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.